the way executive orders are being passed on a regular basis, making, for instance, quoting the Aadhaar number compulsory for applying for a driving license, opening a bank account, getting a PAN card, or even filing income tax returns shows that the government is trying to force all residents and naturally all citizens to enroll for Aadhaar, whose constitutional validity is yet to be decided by the Supreme Court. This is just a step from converting Aadhaar into a national identity card that would be a complete break from the British system of governance, which we still follow in substantial measure. In the United Kingdom, the driving license largely suffices, or the passport. America has a passport card issued by the federal government, but it is not mandatory, with the states being content with the driving license, a bank card, or a similar identification document for gaining state benefits. Police states are strict about national identifications to be produced on demand. Many Europeans have a national card, which works like a passport within the European Union and sometimes to apply for certain benefits. The present National Security Advisor had reportedly said after he retired as Intelligence Bureau Director that the use of Aadhaar was originally intended for national security purposes and the delivery of social benefits was added on later. In keeping with India's stoutly democratic tradition and temperament, it is a pity the Supreme Court on Monday allowed the government to make Aadhaar compulsory for activities other than getting state benefits. Although the court's interim orders since 2013 make it plain that having the Aadhaar number was not mandatory. Since the very idea of Aadhaar faces a legal challenge on the grounds of invasion of privacy, as it is biometric, and on curtailing liberties, it was expected that the Supreme Court would restrain the government from expanding the ambit of Aadhaar requirements until a 7-bench Constitution bench has pronounced on the validity of this contested scheme. The Unique Identity Authority of India began life as an attached office of the Planning Commission in 2009 in order to ensure that government benefits reached the intended beneficiaries without risk of duplication or falsification of identity. But in 2016, it became a statutory authority through an act in the teeth of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, obliging the government to pass it as a finance bill which escapes upper house scrutiny. The court could have been mindful of this too. Aadhaar is not a proof of residence. on the ground it is obtainable through dubious means, it may be dangerous to let it be a license for every use. Kerala's transport minister has taken the high moral ground in resigning after an audio clip emerged on television in which he allegedly indulged in unpalatable talk with a woman. Such a resignation is rare in Indian politics, but it's possible to surmise he may be trying to minimize the damage to the state's coalition government ahead of the by-election. It still takes courage to quit rather than argue endlessly over technicalities which have clearly been raised by such intrusive keyhole journalism. If the minister had refused to accept, there may have been little ground to demand his resignation, especially as there is no complaint against him and the woman said to be in conversation with him could have been part of a honey trap. The minister, elected on an NCP ticket, may have seen enough rough and tumble in politics to know what works in his state and what does not. He has, however, restored a high moral standard for someone holding public office to step down within hours of the audio clip aired on channel. As an ordinary citizen, he has violated no law in speaking about sex to a woman we can assume to be a consenting adult. There was nothing incriminating in his loose talk, which again brings us to the point that he may have been struck down by prurient machinations of a TRP seeking visual media. His resignation carries no admission of guilt and he must be restored to the cabinet if the probe also establishes that he is not guilty.